Welcome to the Analyze Sports Talk, a sports podcast of real conversations of the latest sports topics from baseball to basketball, from football to hockey and everything in between, like trade gossip, waiver wire, locker room talk, and more. Now, here is Analyze Sports.
What's up, everybody? Back again this week. This is our third podcast, and today it'll be real short. We'll just do an overview of the Louisville Clemson game, and we'll also talk about the Cardinals and the entire season and what we've seen from them out of their first three games. Guys, I got Stephen, Patrick, Robert, Jordan. Guys, what you want to talk about this game? You know, the Cardinals went down pretty bad last night. 47-21. It's 26 points at home in Papa John's Cardinal Stadium, and it was supposed to be in a blackout game, but looks like Louisville was the team that got blacked out.
We sure did. It started off rough. Defense, offense, special teams, they got a lot of work to do, especially at defensive secondary. They was getting got on every stop and go route, peeping in the backfield. Our receivers can't get open. When they do get open, they can't really come back to the ball, or they don't come back to the ball. I know it's a young receiving core. They got a lot of work to do, but for us to succeed on a high level, the wide receiver play, I think, was the biggest knock on us watching the game last night.
Hello, it's Rob. My take on the game was, at first quarter and a half, I thought talent-wise and energy-wise, we matched both sides. It was an even match. Score stayed 7-7 for the longest. I think once the game changed, in my opinion, was Lamar not being able to get the easy throws off in the beginning. I think he started out like 0 for 7 or something like that. He didn't get a completion for his first couple passes, and I think that really threw the team off in a rhythm. We ran the ball pretty well for the most part, but it also just shows where Clemson's at and where we're at as far as programs. Clemson's front seven is probably the most athletic since Alabama days of being dominant. And looking back at the game, I think total sacks, they got us pretty good.
1, 2, 3. Got sacked 4 times.
4 times.
4 times. And that's just not the pressure and the hits that he took. That's just sacks.
And that's with Lamar being Lamar and being able to be an escape artist at times. But to me, I think that's where the game changed. And with us getting behind, we had to play from behind. So I think that also took off. But how we were talking earlier is just that game changer play where Lamar breaks for 50, 60 yards?
50, 60 yards, down to Clemson's 15 in scoring position, gets called back, and we get put back on our own 20-yard line.
And to me, it seemed like every close call we had to go up to review and throw off energy and momentum. And, not to blame it on referees or anything, but it just seemed like to me Louisville just couldn't get it all together. And like I've said in previous shows, that to me, we got to get out of having a scripted offense. To me, it just seems like from the beginning to the end of the to the end of the game, Bobby has a scripted out scene to where he wants to do. And to me, it seems like guys like Dabo and Nick Saban can make adjustments at the drop of a dime when something ain't going right with their scheme. But that's also not to just knock on Louisville, but it also shows why Clemson's a top 3 team.
Yeah, Clemson. I know I was talking to someone on Twitter, Rashad Meyer. Shout out to Rashad. Rashad's a good guy. You know, he's covering Louisville sports for a while, and he was telling me that before the Clemson game, Kelly Bryant hadn't really been able to throw the ball down the field. And I told him, I was like, well, that Louisville secondary isn't really that great. He'll have his chances. And Lord behold, the kid had 316 passing yards, and he completed 22 out of 32 of his passes.
And a TD and a rushing
and had
TD.
a TD and had 2 rushing TDs.
But
So
go ahead. Just only knock I say is just we ain't got our best defender. And I think that's
That
what
hurts us. Alexander being out there,
he takes off one side of the field that where you could scheme and you can hide those flaws in the secondary. But like he said earlier, it's just like we got hit with so many double moves, and Dabo's a hell of an offense coordinator, and what he does, I mean a head coach, but also what the team does as far as using people in motion and throwing off the whole team, and you might have 2 people go in motion and the play go the whole opposite way. So it's just, I think that's also a credit to him and his play calling.
Well, I mean, Jair is a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong, but even in the Purdue game, you could tell that the secondary is the weak link on that Louisville defense. Like I said, Jair's a heck of a player, but those other guys out there, I know Washington tries, but it seems
Chucky makes plays.
It seems like
That's about
Washington
the only
almost
one
on
that's
every
out
play
there right
is
now,
getting
like-
beat. And to put those receivers on put those corners and D-backs on the island with some of those receivers and talent that Clemson has, I mean, that was a whole nother level because they gave up 30 plus points against, I think, Purdue, or close to 30. I don't know what the final score was on that, and then UNC, it really came down to just us having Lamar Jackson and them not having Lamar Jackson.
35-28 against Purdue, 47-35 against UNC.
So your defense is giving up around 30 points. I mean, so
That, but also too, credit to Clemson, they converted on 3rd down way more than we did, and they also had a go-to weapon in his number's 13, Renfro, I think.
Yeah,
is that the freshman?
Yeah, that was the guy who starred in the championship game last year. The walk-on.
The walk-on,
yeah.
He's going to be a problem now that Mike Williams is gone.
He balled him, and then Ray McLeod. Ray McLeod. That's another thing.
That's the freshman.
That's 34.
he's not a freshman.
Which one's the fresh?
I think that was number 1, Thompson. Kane was there last year too. But or it might have been Overton, number 14. But the Clemson receivers
Did they job?
quarter, and not just being a fan, but just looking at us and seeing that we were making drives, clicking, but a penalty will hold us back, or just not converting or not diving for the extra yard, just little things that was holding us back.
Because that big play that we were speaking of, that 60-yarder they got called back, it was 19-7 at that point. So if we score, U of L scores 19-14, it's a whole different ball game because the very next play we throw the pick 6, it's 26-7. Now you down, 3 scores instead of 1 score. That changed the whole dynamic of a game, and the momentum zone gets on Clemson's side, and just from there, we just can't overcome it. We 0-4 against Clemson now, joining the ACC. That's the next level we got to take to become a top tier program.
Yeah, you got to beat the big guys in the conference. Credit to College Game Day. I heard that atmosphere was pretty good down there. A lot of fan support. But I also just wanted to shout out Kirk Herbstreit and his coverage because to me, he's a football genius. He pointed out something yesterday. It's just like, I know it sounds simple and common sense, but he pointed out, like, once a team gets down and they feel like they can't win, you don't want to go out there and tackle no more, and you lose that umph and that energy to go make that extra play because you're not, in your mind, you already defeated. And I thought that's how the defense looked mid through the 3rd quarter heading into the 4th. Is the offense wasn't clicking, so why should we, we're tired, why should we continue to do our job?
So, looking ahead, next week, they're coming back home to Kent, and then you have Murray State at home, and then NC State. That's going to be a good one. A lot of people have been talking about that one coming into the season, about that being a big game. And it's on the road as well. So before the season, I had Louisville winning about 9 games. What did you all have before the season started as far as Louisville record?
I had 9-3.
I think I was around 10-2, 9-3, around that same. But I don't think my decisions changed.
Okay.
Mine hasn't either. I mean, I'm just looking through. You name the competition. Kent
I knew
State,
we would
Murray.
drop one.
NC State always gives us a tough game.
Okay.
BC, Florida State, they don't have their quarterback. Wake, Virginia, Syracuse don't reach score. Kentucky's playing better. They beat us last year. That could be a tough game. But I still seeing us navigating this schedule too. I mean, you did say 10-2. I mean, this schedule really doesn't seem our hardest opponents, if we do get there, would be in the ACC championship game. Just looking ahead right now. Clemson could drop because Clemson still has big games against Florida State. They have big games against their rivals in the SEC. So if Clemson could maybe slip up a game or two, seeing that they have a tougher schedule. Louisville may, if we can get that offensive line, Alexander back, get the defense together, and we still do have a shot at the ACC championship.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to go back to the ACC and how they're going to realign the conference, because you got 3 powerhouses on one side. Well, I ain't going to say powerhouses because Louisville hasn't elevated up yet, but 3 of your top contenders in the ACC are always going to be on one side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
At the best, you have Vodtech and Miami on the other at best, so it's still going to be
they
3
would probably
teams.
have to change one of the Miami teams, but I think that's the reason why they probably aligned it that way. So Florida State and Miami at the time
Because
probably
Clemson's got to play Vodtech. They ranked 13th still.
Yeah. But
Florida State.
going back to just the season overview and things, I just think we got to get better as a team. I think another problem we have with the team is in the receiving corps being young. It's just like, as Lamar is trying to progress as a pocket passer, instead of those natural instinctive runs that he would take after 3-4 seconds when the play runs down, I think he's trying to stay in the pocket more, which shows, people he's becoming a better passer. But it also sends a mixed message to the receivers because they don't know either to get ready to start blocking downfield or keep scrambling and doing the scramble drill to get open for a pass. And I think it was either the last stop that Clemson got or the stop before that, but I seen Lamar coming back to the sideline like they not breaking away. And
They were not all game.
But I think that's
coming back to the ball.
But I think that goes back to my point of being like they're probably so used to Lamar breaking and running, so they get ready to block versus trying to get open for a pass. So I think that's something that we need to probably work on more is the scramble drill is getting, once Lamar is running for his life and he's trying to look downfield, instead of, like I said, those instinctive runs where he could get 4 or 5 yards upfield, he's trying to stay in the pocket to prolong the pass, but the receivers is looking like block or keep running.
So, the overview of the season to me, and like I've already stated before, it's just the offensive line. The first couple of games, for the most part, was pretty solid. Now, we all know Clemson has athletes that are way more superior than North Carolina and Purdue. So, and that D-line has been the talk of the entire college football season, besides Alabama, obviously. So, I don't really make too much of that single game, but it does kind of show you where they are because they're very young. That being said, how good is the secondary going to be when Jair finally does come back? This Saturday we won't be able to tell because it's Kent State. I mean, no offense to Kent State, but
and then Murray State.
And then Murray State.
We'll find out against NC State.
But NC State, for me, how good is their secondary going to be?
I mean, to me, Alexander is an ACC. At the end of the season, he's going to be on the All-ACC team.
Mm-hmm.
Chucky Williams could be on the All-ACC team. Not saying first team, but, second, third team. So I feel we have all ACC caliber performers once Jair gets back. So I mean, I most definitely think we can be that in a top tier defense in the ACC overall. But just without him, it's rough back there in that secondary without him.
Yeah, I credit Jair. He was supposed to be a preseason All-American this year, I think, or ACC All-American, one of those. But like I said at the beginning, he takes up a part of the field and able to lock down your best receiver. So it allows you to scheme and double team other people, and you're allowed to change your coverages and pass rushes. Because another thing I noticed is we sacked him 4 times, but to me it seemed like the pocket was always clear from. At times he seemed like he got panicked, and early in the game,
You talking about Bryant?
yeah, the camera caught him, slowly breathing and trying to calm himself down. But to me, it seemed like we didn't put that much pressure on him. Jair also, I think, helps out the return team. We don't have any return players. We had Jalen Smith catch catch a punt in the 10 behind the 10 without letting it go out of bounds or something. Like, it's just little things like that I feel like separates the team too. And field position's key in college sports. College football.
So with that being said, noon game next weekend, Kent State. I'm thinking Lamar and the boys will probably put up big numbers.
They gotta come out mad.
We'll be back next week with the podcast. Hopefully we'll have some type of review on that game, and then we'll talk about the NFL next week, week 3. So y'all have a good rest of the weekend, and we're out.
We're out.
Now, here is Analyze Sports.